Hello everybody, it is good to be back, and I wanted to say before we start, please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new to me, new to hockey, whatever the case may be. I'd love to have you here along the way. And I am back after having a vacation. It's not done just yet, but I was going to make it to where a certain period with Valentine's Day and my wedding anniversary that I wasn't going to put out any videos. The period has passed and I'm back to making content again, and today we're talking about the Dallas Stars and how they could be the top seed in the West. So let's get into it. And of course, as we know, right now the Stars are having a tremendous season. So good, in fact, that they are currently the top spot in the Western Conference. And I'm getting bold enough to say maybe, just maybe, they could continue to hang on there at that top spot. Even though I was a guy that said they would probably either make the wild card or just miss out of the playoffs. Here they are, though, proving me wrong in a very weird year out west. And I am just saying that I'm going to eat some crow here if they're able to do that. And yes, that could happen, but I will say on the other end too, they might not get it. They might not be able to capture that top spot out west. Why? Because there are some teams on their tail. Any year you're going to have a situation where that is the case, unless it's a year like Tampa Bay where they just blew past the competition that 2018-19 season. But as of right now, the Dallas Stars have some teams that are right there looking to take the spot away from them. Teams like Seattle, Vegas, LA, Winnipeg are really hoping to get in the driver's seat themselves. But we will see, because the Stars are currently on pace for a 106-point campaign, which would not be their best season in Dallas by any means, but would be one of their better years in Texas. But, you know, they are shooting for more besides just a good regular season. But how is this going to happen to where the Stars are able to capture the Western Conference top seed, especially since they've just lost 2 in a row, and you have teams like Vegas right now that are getting pretty hot? It's pretty simple, really, in all honesty. The fact is, their schedule is really easy to close out the year in a lot of ways. According to Tankathon.com, they actually have the easiest schedule remaining according to strength of schedule. And while, yes, they do have 3 games coming up against the Seattle Kraken, who are right on their heels, 2 apiece against teams like Colorado and Vegas, they also have a lot of teams that they are going to play that are bottom feeders right now. And who are those teams? And why is this going to be a big deal? I think the bottom feeders, if you want to get into the negative aspect, are the Chicago Blackhawks, where they have 3 games remaining against them, and then 3 games remaining against the Vancouver Canucks. We'll talk about them a little bit later, because you're probably thinking they aren't bottom feeders, at least complete bottom feeders, but we'll talk about that. And they, of course, have 2 games apiece against the Coyotes and Blues, and favorable games against teams like the Blue Jackets and the Flyers outright. Again, some of these teams like the Blues and the Canucks, especially coming into the season, you're probably thinking these are not supposed to be the worst teams or some of the bottom feeder teams in the league, or at least I didn't expect them to be. Why would he say that? My biggest thing is the trade deadline is coming up here at the beginning of March, and you know that, especially for Vancouver, St. Louis, those types of clubs, they are going to be looking to trade as many guys as possible. I think for Vancouver and St. Louis especially, also teams like Nashville, if I'm being honest, they understand that with the group they have, they might have good players, but they aren't in a spot to A, get in the playoffs, or B, compete. Especially for the Blues, they have a lot of guys that are on expiring deals or a little bit older they might want to move. Vancouver already moved their captain, Bo Horvat, so you'd have to imagine guys like Brock Boeser, Thatcher Demko, Tyler Myers are probably on the way out too. So as the season progresses, if they are able to play those games towards the end of the year, which they will be, those teams should theoretically be worse as they move their starters and this starting lineup out onto other teams, because they look to be better in the future. Also, they have games against like the Flyers, so you're looking at that and thinking Dallas probably should win this game. But with all that being said, are they a lock for the 1 seed? Certainly not. And I'll say that right now. They are not a lock for the 1 seed. They have a few teams that really concern me. Seattle's probably the biggest team, and then Vegas is probably right up there as well. Seattle, my biggest worry is the fact that they have 3 games against the Kraken. If you lose those 3 games, that may be the nail in the coffin for this, especially because the Kraken have the 2nd easiest remaining schedule in the league, with a team like the LA Kings 3rd easiest. So again, the Pacific teams really could come back to haunt the Stars, because you look at those teams, and Vegas, while they have had to deal with injuries, currently I think on a 4-game winning streak. Seattle been proving everybody wrong all year, or at least been showing that they have been able to improve after a busy offseason. Then a team like LA that had kind of a nice year after last year coming back and replicating a good year again. Will these teams be right there on their heels? I do think so. And is Dallas's roster perfect? I think not, personally. But having said all this, I really do think that I am legitimately impressed with Peter DeBoer and what they've been able to do in the first year, I believe, with him in Dallas. And I have to say, if you are a team like Dallas who has been taking advantage of other teams' misfortunes, especially teams like Colorado and Vegas with injuries, you have to be able to finish it out. I don't exactly know what the final standings look like I said, but Dallas is in a much better spot than I thought they'd be. A few years ago, I was worried about Dallas's age, some of the contracts they on the books, but you have Hintz and Robertson, these guys that are turning into stars, not only for their teams, but in the league. Robertson looks to be one of the best up-and-coming players in the league, and they have prospects that you are so thrilled about. So for Dallas, I would have to say this could be what the near future looks like. Will they actually be a team that is consistently being the number 1 seed out west? Probably not, because hockey is so random with injuries and how everybody clicks, stuff like that. So I wouldn't say that it's going to be a team as a regular to be the 1 seed, but I will say that they are in a good spot for the future, and I'm really excited to see what they have going for them here, and it never hurts to have home ice advantage. And we have seen before that there is no easy road to the Stanley Cup final. Yes, there are easier roads, but there is no easy road. But it would probably not hurt to be the 1 seed. To play a team like Minnesota wouldn't be necessarily fun at the moment in that first round, but if you get past them, you're probably looking at Winnipeg, that people feel like aren't as big of a threat, or you have Colorado that's a little banged up. Maybe you get past them, and then you see what happens there in the conference finals. We have to see. As for Dallas, though, you just kind of got to pay attention to one game at a time, take advantage of the bad teams, win those games, and then you really have to take advantage or win a lot of games against teams like Seattle and Vegas. We will see. The Colorado games are important too, but I want to know, do you think Dallas will finish as the 1 seed out west? Are you surprised by that? And where do you think their future lies? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night, and you go Hockey all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.